What's going on, everybody? It's Dwreck. Welcome back to DwreckTV. And it's time for another art video. And it's been about a few weeks. It felt like a few weeks that I haven't been drawing. I've been in Denham Springs, I've been to Gonzales, and I put together a new art desk. And it's been quite a while since I've drawn, so let's get back to drawing. Let's get back to basics, everybody. And this week, I'm going to be drawing Sonic the Hedgehog. Why Sonic? Because I tried coming up with a whole bunch of characters that I could draw. My wife was suggesting me some things. Some friends of mine were suggesting me some things. So I thought, you know what? After it felt like 3 weeks that I haven't drawn anything, then I need to get back to basics. I need to get the spark back. So y'all want to help me do that? I'm gonna draw Sonic, and hopefully that can get my bearings back, if you will. And if there's any other character that y'all would like to see me draw on DwreckTV, please leave a comment below, because I love interacting with everybody. Even though I don't post much comments, like reply comments, I do read all the comments. So just want to let y'all know that I'm not neglecting anybody. Let's waste no more time. Let's draw Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, check out the new art desk. Doesn't it look great? It looks fantastic. Now we can finally get to drawing on this thing. Let's see what we can do. Sonic the Hedgehog. Let's see. Set it up a little bit. Let's see. Start Sonic the Hedgehog. The first time I ever heard of Sonic the Hedgehog was around 91, 92-ish. Definitely around that time. I remember seeing the commercials, and then I remember seeing the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons, and I just thought, this character looks super cool. And then I realized that he was on this thing called Sega Genesis. And some friends of mine, like Robert and Duke, had it. And my cousin DK in Mississippi had it. This Sega Genesis. And I thought it was really, really cool. I noticed a lot of people had Sega Genesis. And I never really thought of like console wars between Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. I just thought there was always something cool to have. Like, I had Super Nintendo, they had Sega Genesis, things like that. I always thought that was a cool concept of having two consoles going on at the same time. But it was never like one of those, like how everybody says, like the recess playground crap of like, you either Super Nintendo or you Sega Genesis, whose side are you on type deal. From 100%, I've never had any of those discussions in school. Ever. I think a lot of people are just making that up, to be quite honest. Like, after the fact. Because I never, ever experienced anything like that. There was a time I actually thought about getting a Sega Genesis, because I thought it was a very cool thing. I thought it was cool. I was fascinated with the graphics of Sonic the Hedgehog. I was fascinated with a lot of games, especially Earthworm Jim, and I know I liked that and a couple others, especially some games that my cousin DK had. I think one was called Desert Strike. He played that a lot. He played Desert Strike a lot, and he played a couple others like Sonic Spinball, of course, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was like one of my favorite Sega Genesis games. And Sonic the Hedgehog, like as far as his games go, I was so fascinated with them because it was like nothing I'd seen before, especially like from someone that played the Super Nintendo. Seeing Sonic the Hedgehog was like, wow, look at this. Like very, very cool, very appealing, very colorful, and just definitely fit with the time. And he was going so fast. Sonic was going very fast. He was going so fast that the screen couldn't even keep up with him. And I was like, wow, look at this. There was nothing like that. No one ever saw anything like that. That's what was fascinating about it. And just seeing like Dr. Robotnik, I thought Dr. Robotnik was pretty cool. And Tails, Tails was pretty cool. And my big sister, for some strange reason, didn't really catch on with Sonic because she was saying like Sonic was like abusive to Tails and such. Like, I don't see nothing. She don't know what she was talking about. My big sister don't know nothing. But Sonic was always like an enigma, because even though I didn't have the Sega Genesis, I always found it very fascinating to play Sonic. And when I did get to play Sonic, it was like a big deal. Then I did play Sonic the Hedgehog 2 because DK had it, so every time I go to Mississippi I play Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with him. And then, say about a few years later, when never really heard of much of Sega Saturn. I do remember seeing commercials and ads for Sega Saturn and video game magazines, but never saw Sega Saturn in person until now, when RetroManiac sold me one at Power Up, which I'm extremely thankful for. But whenever the Sega Dreamcast came out, that was a game changer. Because everybody was talking about it. It was all in the magazines. It was the whole campaign of September 9th, 1999. That was all over the place. I cannot tell you how much that was all over the place. And then when I first played the Sega Dreamcast, we went visit my aunt and uncle in Mississippi, and it was a tough time. I'm not gonna get too much into details of it because it's really nobody's business. But long story short, we went to go visit them for a while, and then I noticed that DK had the Sega Dreamcast, and he had Sonic Adventure. I remember seeing Sonic Adventure in commercials, and I thought, wow, Sonic's redesign in Sonic Adventure was amazing and refreshing as well. I was fascinated with his redesign. I thought it was super cool, especially Knuckles and Tails and Dr. Robotnik and this new character Amy Rose, which I didn't know about Sega Sonic CD. at the time, but I thought they was like pretty cool characters. I loved the designs. I thought they was very appealing. And then when I played Sonic Adventure, it pretty much, I was just in absolute fascination with it. It blew everything that the N64 had. It blew away everything that PlayStation 1 had. That was amazing. It was incredibly amazing, the Sega Dreamcast. Yeah, I had to redraw it a little bit because it wasn't coming out as good as I wanted it to, especially because I'm like on my rambles and everything, messing up my drawings. That's what happens when you don't draw for weeks, people. You mess up. So I'm just gonna draw Sonic like this. That's a pretty good drawing. What y'all see? Not every day I get to draw Sonic like this though. But I got no problem with Sonic. I think Sonic's a really cool video game character. But like I was saying with Sonic Adventure, that was one of the best games I've ever played. One of the most fascinating games I played when I was a teenager. When I was like 15 years old. I'll never forget it. The music on Sonic Adventure was amazing. I love the soundtrack of Sonic Adventure. One of the best soundtracks. Best music, best compositions. The songs with Crush 40 were great. I would listen to Crush 40 more than bands like Linkin Park, dare I say, because I like the lyrical subject matters of bands like Crush 40. Very uplifting, very positive sounding. People need to hear music like that. Almost borderline Christian rock, almost. That's what I loved hearing when I was a teenager, as opposed to like Saliva and Seven Dust and Linkin Park and like Static X, things like that, or even Limp Bizkit. But I'd rather listen to bands like that, even Skillet and 12 Stones and POD. I like bands like that more than Linkin Park any day. I think this Sonic drawing is coming out a little better than I originally wanted to do it, but like I said, that's what happens when you don't draw for weeks. You mess up. Gotta get your bearings back. Yeah, this looks a lot better than how I originally was going to draw it. What y'all think? Way better. He looks cool. He looks cool enough. What y'all think? Yeah. Alright, let's ink up Sonic the Hedgehog. Let's ink him up, shall we? When I first got on YouTube, I was introduced pretty quickly to the Sonic fan base. My God. These are some of the most insufferable people I have ever not met, but encountered. Not really met, because I never met these people in person, but I refuse to ever meet them in person. And it's like Sonic the Hedgehog just morphed these people into like obsessed freaks, for lack of a better term. Obsessed freaks. Like, I like Sonic and everything, but my God, I would never do some of the things that these people would do. That's borderline obsession, borderline like autism in its fullest. And I should be talking because I have Asperger's syndrome, but that's beside the point. I pity those people. Sickening. But I give these people way too much attention than they need to. The less we speak of them, the better. The less we speak of them, the better. But my favorite Sonic game, it's a very tough question. I know I like Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I like the original Sonic trilogy. Sonic Adventure, I would have to say, is one of my absolute favorites because of its impact on me when I was a teenager, especially during that time. One Sonic game I have yet to play has been Sonic Adventure 2, because the price of it is so sky high on eBay. Will I ever get to play Sonic Adventure 2? I hope so. I really, really hope so. Because that's one game I would like to play. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Dreamcast. If I gotta get on the GameCube, then that would mean I have no other choice. If I gotta get it on the GameCube. And the third movie didn't do it no favors either. It went from $123 to like almost $203 since the third movie came out. That's absurd. That is absurd. As far as the movies go, I used to have the Sonic OVA movie on DVD years ago. Years and years back. And then I let my nephews, Chaotic Kid and his brother, Mr. Shotya, let them borrow it when they were little kids, and I never saw it again. Never saw it again. And what's cool about that DVD is because it had the original movie and it had the original Japanese dub, which I thought the Japanese dub was way better than the English version by leaps and bounds. But can't find that DVD nowhere. It might be on eBay, but I did buy the VHS off eBay. What choice did I have? because I couldn't find the DVD anywhere. And my nephews lost it. I know they lost it. Never saw it again. But that's not their fault. They're children. They were children at the time. And Sonic Heroes was very good. Confusing at times, but it was good. It was fun. Never played Shadow the Hedgehog, nor do I plan on doing it. Sonic the Disaster, or everybody calls Sonic 06. I wanted to like that game, but I can't because of the way it was rushed out and it was just a buggy mess. But I found the game fascinating for its graphics, the story, the characters. The graphics of the game was for the time was incredible. Like we have gone to the next generation, people. But its execution was just, had they worked on the game a little more, I would say the game would have been like Sonic Adventure 3. But I think that game definitely brought things to a head, especially with the Sonic fanboys, especially a certain fanboy that brought a lot of things to a head. And especially the Sonic Flame War of 2008 was one of the stupidest things I've ever seen on YouTube. Just the Sonic Flame War of 2008, my god. Y'all be lucky I never encountered things like that. I was like, this is like one of the most stupidest, ridiculous, childish things I've ever seen. All over Sonic the Hedgehog. What are we doing? We're like in our mid-20s and we're arguing over Sonic the Hedgehog and the certain individual that brought everything to a head. He was stupid with a capital S. Alright, he's all inked up. Let's erase him up. He's all erased up. Now, let's color Sonic. Yeah, like I was saying, that Sonic Flame War was stupid. I played a little bit of Sonic and the Secret Rings. That was pretty cool. Never played Sonic and the Black Knight, but my nephew Chaotic Kid said it was a fun game. But he was a child. He was a child at the time, so I can't get upset with that. Sonic Colors was good. Sonic Unleashed was pretty good. The daytime segments, that could be the Sonic game right there. Then Sonic Colors came out and took the daytime segments of Sonic Unleashed and made that the whole game. That was amazing. I really like Sonic Colors. That's why I put it in my top 10 for the Wii games. But Sonic Generations, oh, that was a fantastic game. And Sonic Lost World, that was alright. Kind of generic and kind of mediocre, but it was okay. I never played the Sonic Boom games, nor do I ever plan on ever playing those games. They don't look cool. Sonic Forces was pretty good, but mediocre. Sonic Mania was pretty fun. Even the Sonic Racing games were really good. I really like them. Like Sonic and All-Stars Racing, and the Racing Transformed was like Diddy Kong Racing 2.0. Team Sonic Racing was great, especially in conjunction with Mario Kart Deluxe on the Switch and Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel on the PlayStation 4. You couldn't go wrong with those three. That was great. But I've never really told this to anybody, but even though I get Sonic games on like Sega Genesis and Sega Dreamcast and everything, but I will not get a Sonic game for PlayStation. I get Sonic games, or pretty much Sega games, on the Xbox or Nintendo. I will not get a Sega game for PlayStation unless I have to. Reason for that being is because I always like to see, because I always said that the Xbox was the Dreamcast 2, and especially because like Microsoft helped the Dreamcast with their internet servers and everything, and also from what I read, one of the head people of Sega wanted to have the original Xbox be backwards compatible with the Dreamcast. That would have been cool. So I always thought, like, when Sega dropped out of the home console, I say that the Xbox was the next step first. Like, the Xbox would have been like the place to get Sega games. That's why whenever you got the Xbox, I always tend to buy Sega games on the Xbox and not PlayStation, because the PlayStation 2 was one of the things that caused the Dreamcast to fail in its sales. So with the Xbox, that's like the Dreamcast 2. So that's why I always buy Sega games on the Xbox, and if they're on Nintendo, I'll get them on Nintendo, because even though they was rivals, they still have a mutual respect, if you will, especially when it comes to Mario and Sonic. That's some things that I just like to do. I like to think about, like the fanfic type stuff. I always like to do things like that to make things more interesting. Use your imagination, people. There's a lot of things that many people don't use nowadays. The imagination. But with the Xbox doing what they're doing now, yeah, they're done. Xbox is done, and I'm gonna be getting Sega games on Nintendo going forward, starting with Sonic Racing Cross World. After this year, I'm gonna be getting only Sega games, only on Nintendo. Because the Xbox, Microsoft messed up big time. They messed up big time. And there's no going back to them at this point. Okay, Sonic is done. Yep, there he is. There's Sonic for y'all. And you know what I'm just realizing? I drew him on regular sheets of copy paper and not the regular bristles, but still looks good nonetheless, don't y'all think? I think it looks pretty cool. I really enjoyed drawing Sonic, like playing the games and even the movies and everything. Really good stuff. But yeah, there's Sonic for you. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. I know it's been a few weeks since I've drawn, so can you imagine if I would have continued on with this piece of garbage? I mean, look at you sell the differences. This was terrible. I promised I'm not gonna draw bad like that again. I gotta get my bearings back. I gotta get the feel back, you know? But anyway, let's get the feeling back. Never stop drawing, people. This is what happens. You mess up, and then you gotta draw again and again to get perfection back. So, never stop drawing. Never give up, kids. So, that being said, I gotta get some sleep. I'll see y'all next week for another art video or whatever I feel like doing. So this is Dwreck signing out, and see y'all on the flip side.